Scene opens with a wide shot of a road, emergency vehicles, and a large crowd of people. The camera zooms into a group of officials standing next to a lifeless hippopotamus on the side of the road. Narrator, voiceover. Tragedy struck early this morning when a massive hippopotamus was found dead on a busy highway. The animal, which weighs thousands of pounds, was discovered by shocked drivers who alerted authorities immediately. Cut to an image of the hippopotamus's body and the surrounding area. Police officers and wildlife experts are seen examining the scene. Narrator, voiceover. Authorities quickly arrived at the scene, but the question on everyone's mind remains: how did this giant creature end up on a road so far from its natural habitat? Cut to an interview with a wildlife expert. Wildlife expert. Hippopotamuses are native to sub-Saharan Africa and usually live in rivers and lakes, not on roads. It's possible that the animal was part of a traveling zoo or sanctuary, or perhaps it escaped from a nearby wildlife facility. Cut back to the scene, with vehicles passing by and officials investigating. Narrator, voiceover. The cause of death is still under investigation. However, authorities believe it may have been struck by a vehicle before collapsing on the roadside. Cut to a local resident speaking to the camera. Local resident. It's so shocking to see something like this in our area. We don't expect to see wild animals like that on the road. I hope they figure out how this happened. Cut to more footage of the investigation, with officials discussing possible causes. Narrator, voiceover. While this is an unusual event, the mystery surrounding the hippopotamus's death serves as a reminder of the ongoing importance of wildlife conservation, as well as the need for proper care and attention for animals in captivity. Cut to the final shot of the scene, with the body of the hippopotamus being carefully moved. Narrator, voiceover. As the investigation continues, the authorities urge anyone with information to come forward and offer condolences to those affected by this unusual and tragic incident. We are doing everything we can to understand the full circumstances surrounding this incident. Our primary focus right now is to confirm the exact cause of death and to ensure proper procedures are followed for the animal's remains. We are working closely with wildlife experts and local organizations. Cut to footage of the hippopotamus's body being transported by a large truck with several people in protective gear overseeing the process. Narrator, voiceover. As the authorities move the hippopotamus's body to a secure location for a more detailed examination, the mystery deepens. While the exact cause of death remains unclear, it raises questions about the safety measures in place for transporting large, exotic animals. Cut to an interview with an animal transportation expert. Animal transport expert. Transporting large animals like hippos is no small task. It requires specialized equipment and planning, especially when traveling through populated areas. There may have been an issue with either the animal's transport vehicle or its handling that contributed to this unfortunate situation. Cut to the road where the hippopotamus was found, with people passing by and looking curiously at the area. Narrator, voiceover. While the public's curiosity grows, so do the concerns about the welfare of wild animals held in captivity. Experts emphasize the importance of ensuring that any animal in transport or under human care receives the right environment and attention. Cut to a local environmentalist speaking. Environmentalist. This incident serves as a wake-up call. Whether the hippo was part of a zoo, a sanctuary, or another facility, it's crucial that we rethink how we handle the care and movement of wildlife. These animals, despite their size and strength, are vulnerable and deserve proper consideration. Cut to a montage of wildlife conservation efforts, including footage of hippos in their natural habitat, as the narrator continues. Narrator, voiceover. While tragic, the death of this hippopotamus shines a light on the broader issue of animal welfare. It reminds us of the delicate balance between humans and wildlife, and the steps we must take to ensure that animals live in environments where they can thrive, whether in the wild or in care. Scene shifts back to the road, now quiet with no sign of the hippopotamus, as the camera slowly zooms out. Narrator, voiceover. As the investigation continues, one thing is clear. This is a rare event, one that will be studied and remembered for the lessons it teaches. In the meantime, authorities are urging the public to remain vigilant and report any sightings of unusual animals or circumstances. Final shot of the sunset, peaceful and quiet, with a reflection on the need for responsible care of animals. Narrator, voiceover. The story of the hippopotamus found on the road may have ended in tragedy, but its message will continue to echo in the ongoing conversation about conservation, safety, and respect for wildlife. Good evening and welcome back. In breaking news, the mysterious case of the hippopotamus found dead on the road has taken another turn. Authorities are now investigating whether the animal was part of a larger wildlife trafficking ring. Several leads have surfaced pointing to possible illegal transportation activities. Cut to footage of authorities inspecting documents and files related to animal transportation regulations. Narrator, voiceover. As investigators dig deeper, they are uncovering troubling patterns that suggest the animal might not have simply escaped from a sanctuary, but may have been illegally transported across state lines. Wildlife trafficking remains a growing concern worldwide, and this case highlights the risks involved in the unregulated movement of animals. Cut to an interview with a wildlife law enforcement officer. Wildlife law enforcement officer. Wildlife trafficking is a major issue that puts both the animals and the public at risk. These animals are often transported under hazardous conditions, sometimes through unsafe routes. It's crucial that we continue to crack down on this illegal activity and enforce stronger regulations. Cut back to the scene of the hippopotamus's discovery, now with more police cars and a larger team of investigators working the site. Narrator, voiceover. As the investigation into illegal trafficking intensifies, authorities are also examining the role of local laws and regulations concerning the transportation of exotic animals. How well these laws are being followed will likely determine the future safety of animals in transit. Cut to an animal rights advocate speaking directly to the camera. Animal rights advocate. This is exactly why we need stronger policies and enforcement. Animals should never be subjected to these kinds of conditions, whether they're being transported across a country or being held in captivity. The hippopotamus's tragic death is just one example of how the system fails these creatures. The screen cuts to a visual of animals being returned to their natural habitats, with footage of hippos in rivers, elephants walking in the wild, and other species roaming freely. Narrator, voiceover. While this case is a painful reminder of the darker side of human interaction with wildlife, it also serves as a call to action. Conservationists around the globe are working tirelessly to preserve natural habitats and ensure that animals are not exploited for profit. Cut to a closing shot of the community rallying for animal rights, people holding signs that read, "Protect wildlife" and "End animal trafficking." Narrator, voiceover. The tragic death of the hippopotamus found on the road may have sparked a renewed conversation on animal rights, wildlife trafficking, and the importance of safeguarding animals from harm. As we learn from this incident, it is clear that all of us must play a part in protecting wildlife for future generations. Final scene shows a community gathering, wildlife activists, and authorities collaborating on how to prevent future incidents. A hopeful, yet somber atmosphere. Narrator, voiceover. In the end, the fate of this hippopotamus may have been tragic, but it has awakened a shared commitment to better protecting the creatures who share our world. Government official at podium. Today, we are introducing stronger regulations to prevent incidents like the one involving the hippopotamus. Effective immediately, we will increase inspections on animal transportation, ensure stricter enforcement of wildlife trafficking laws, and introduce heavier penalties for violations. Cut to a wildlife expert nodding in approval as she speaks with reporters. Wildlife expert. These new measures are a significant step in the right direction. Animals like the hippopotamus deserve more protection, especially when they are being transported. We need a system that ensures their safety, health, and well-being. Cut to footage of authorities conducting safety checks on vehicles used to transport exotic animals, inspecting crates, and securing animals. Narrator, voiceover. Following the tragic event, the government has promised to enhance its oversight on wildlife transportation. The focus now is on ensuring that similar accidents do not occur again. The introduction of mandatory safety checks, animal welfare certification, and better enforcement of laws is expected to create a safer environment for animals in transit. Scene cuts to a community group meeting, with local residents discussing how they can raise awareness about wildlife conservation. Local resident. At the meeting, we all have a role to play in protecting animals. This isn't just about what happens in distant countries. It's about making sure our communities are safe for both wildlife and people. We're starting local initiatives to educate others and support wildlife advocacy groups. Cut to a wildlife sanctuary worker interacting with a hippopotamus and other animals in a safe, natural setting. Narrator, voiceover. While the tragic death of the hippopotamus on the road has been a sobering wake-up call, it has also ignited a stronger commitment to preserving the integrity of wildlife sanctuaries. Experts emphasize that proper care, rehabilitation, and secure environments are essential for animals in captivity. Cut to an international wildlife conference, with experts from around the world discussing solutions for animal welfare. Conference speaker, on stage. To ensure the safety of wildlife, we need to work across borders. It's not just about enforcing laws, but about creating sustainable, ethical solutions for animal care, from the wild to captivity. We need global cooperation. Cut to a series of images showing successful wildlife conservation projects, such as animals being rehabilitated and released back into the wild. Narrator, voiceover. The death of the hippopotamus, though tragic, has sparked a global dialogue about wildlife conservation. From local communities to international organizations, the momentum for change is building. There is hope that this tragedy will inspire real, lasting change in how we protect and care for the creatures that share our planet. Cut to a final shot of a hippopotamus in its natural habitat, walking through a river, symbolizing freedom and the importance of preserving natural environments. Narrator, voiceover. While the journey of this particular hippopotamus ended too soon, the lessons learned from this tragic event will continue to shape the future of animal protection. We all share the responsibility to ensure that wildlife not only survive, but thrive in the world we all share. Narrator, voiceover. In the wake of the hippopotamus's death, public awareness of wildlife protection has reached unprecedented levels. Across the globe, citizens are rallying behind the cause, raising their voices in support of stricter animal welfare laws and the end of illegal wildlife trafficking. Cut to a young activist speaking at a rally. Young activist with microphone. We want to make sure that no more animals suffer because of human negligence. It's time for a change. The tragic death of that hippo is just one example of how we've failed these animals. But together, we can help turn the tide. Cut to footage of social media campaigns gaining traction, with hashtags like #ProtectWildlife, #StopTrafficking, and #SaveTheHippos trending. Narrator, voiceover. Social media has become a powerful tool for those advocating for wildlife conservation. The movement has gained worldwide traction, with millions of people sharing information, raising funds, and demanding action from governments and organizations. Cut to an interview with a social media influencer who is using their platform to spread awareness. Social media influencer. Animals have no voice, so we have to be their voice. I've used my platform to talk about the issues surrounding wildlife trafficking, and it's incredible to see how many people want to make a difference. Change is happening because people are speaking up. Cut to a close-up of a hippo in a sanctuary, being treated with care by veterinarians. Narrator, voiceover. As awareness grows, so does support for wildlife sanctuaries that care for animals who have been rescued from unsafe conditions. Donations are pouring in, allowing organizations to provide better care for rescued animals and improve the facilities that ensure their well-being. Cut to an environmental organization receiving a large donation check, with smiles and applause from the team. Environmental organization leader. This donation will help us expand our wildlife rescue efforts and work with authorities to prevent the illegal transport of animals. The outpouring of support has been truly inspiring. Scene shifts to a meeting of international wildlife organizations collaborating on a global treaty to protect endangered species. International Wildlife Organization representative at the table. Today, we have a unique opportunity to come together and formalize our commitment to protecting wildlife. A global treaty will help standardize animal protection laws, making it harder for traffickers to exploit vulnerable species like the hippopotamus. Cut to scenes of animals being rehabilitated and released into their natural habitats, with a team of conservationists ensuring their safe return. Narrator, voiceover. Through collective action, global cooperation, and sustained efforts, wildlife conservation is beginning to show real progress. The tragic death of one animal has sparked a global movement, inspiring tangible changes that will help protect countless species in the future. Cut to a tranquil river, where a group of hippos are seen peacefully swimming together. The camera lingers on their graceful movements in the water. Narrator, voiceover. For every life lost, there are those who continue the fight to ensure the survival and safety of wildlife around the world. As this hippo's legacy lives on, it serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of protecting the natural world. Scene transitions to the final message on the screen. Together, we can make a world of difference for wildlife. Act now. Narrator, voiceover. Months after the tragic death of the hippopotamus, the world has united in a renewed effort to protect wildlife on a global scale. The International Summit on Wildlife Conservation marks a turning point, as nations come together to forge new paths in safeguarding endangered species. Cut to a speech being delivered by the UN Secretary-General, addressing the Global Assembly. UN Secretary-General, on stage. We stand here today united by a shared commitment to protecting the future of our planet's biodiversity. From the jungles of Africa to the plains of Asia, every species deserves our protection. The death of the hippopotamus was a tragic wake-up call, but we will ensure that it is not in vain. Together, we will make sure that the future of wildlife is secure. Cut to a series of countries signing a new wildlife protection treaty, with flags of various nations waving proudly in the background. Narrator, voiceover. In a historic moment, over 50 nations have signed a new treaty aimed at strengthening wildlife protection laws, closing loopholes in wildlife trafficking laws, and committing to the restoration of endangered habitats. The treaty marks a bold step forward in the global fight against wildlife exploitation. Cut to a close-up of a conservationist smiling, watching the signing ceremony on a screen. Conservationist, speaking to the camera, this is a monumental moment in the history of wildlife conservation. For years, we've been advocating for stronger international cooperation, and now we finally have a unified, coordinated approach. It's a game changer. Scene transitions to a series of impactful visuals showing thriving ecosystems, elephants migrating freely, sea turtles swimming in the ocean, and protected forests growing lush and vibrant. Narrator, voiceover. With stronger protections in place, conservation projects are seeing tangible success. Wildlife populations are beginning to rebound, ecosystems are being restored, and habitats are being safeguarded from the encroachment of human development. Cut to a young child visiting a wildlife sanctuary, her eyes wide with wonder as she watches animals in their natural habitat. Narrator, voiceover. And it's not just governments and organizations making a difference. Across the globe, children, educators, and future generations are being inspired by the growing movement to protect wildlife. From school programs to hands-on conservation efforts, the next generation is learning the value of living in harmony with nature. Cut to an environmental education workshop where children are learning about endangered species and ways they can help protect them. Teacher to students, every small action counts, and each of you can help make a difference. Whether it's raising awareness, protecting local wildlife, or supporting conservation efforts, you are part of a global movement. Scene shifts to a peaceful forest, where wildlife roam freely and the sounds of nature fill the air. The camera pans to show a healthy population of hippos in their natural habitat. Narrator, voiceover. As the world becomes more connected, the fight to protect wildlife has gained strength. Together, communities, governments, activists, and ordinary individuals are creating a future where animals are not just protected, but celebrated. The tragic death of the hippopotamus has sparked a global revolution, a movement of hope, unity, and unwavering dedication to preserving life on Earth. Cut to a closing shot of a family looking at a wildlife reserve, watching hippos graze peacefully in the distance. Narrator, voiceover. From tragedy to triumph, this journey reminds us of the incredible impact we can have when we stand together for the protection of our planet's most vulnerable species. The journey of the hippopotamus may have ended too soon, but its legacy will continue to inspire and unite us all for generations to come. Narrator, voiceover. As the global movement to protect wildlife gains traction, local communities around the world are taking action. What started as a single tragic event has now become a widespread effort, with people from all walks of life coming together to make a real difference. Cut to a community leader giving a speech at a local event. A crowd of people gathered to learn more about the importance of animal protection. Community leader at the podium. Today, we are not just talking about conservation, we are living it. We are standing up for the voiceless, the ones who can't speak for themselves. The death of one animal has sparked a fire in all of us, and now we are dedicated to protecting wildlife in our town and beyond. Cut to children participating in a cleanup drive at a local river, collecting trash while learning about local wildlife species that live nearby. Narrator, voiceover. From city centers to rural towns, the message has spread. Local schools are teaching children about the importance of conservation. Families are taking action in their own communities, cleaning up local environments, supporting wildlife-friendly businesses, and pushing for stronger animal protection laws. Cut to a local wildlife rehabilitation center where injured animals are being cared for by veterinarians. A team is seen tending to a young animal and discussing the rehabilitation process. Wildlife rehabilitation specialist. Each animal we care for is a part of a much larger ecosystem. When they suffer, it's not just their loss, it's the loss of biodiversity. We're working harder than ever to ensure that these creatures are given the chance to recover and thrive. Cut to a newscaster sitting in a studio, presenting a global update on wildlife protection and the continued success of international efforts. Newscaster, on screen. Global wildlife protection efforts continue to make headlines, with reports showing a marked decline in illegal wildlife trafficking. The new treaty signed earlier this year is already showing results, and conservationists are seeing unprecedented success in the rehabilitation and release of endangered species. Cut to footage of a rescued rhino being returned to a protected sanctuary, surrounded by conservationists. The animal takes its first steps in the wild after months of care. Narrator, voiceover. Thanks to international cooperation and local conservation efforts, animals that were once at the brink of extinction are now being returned to their natural habitats. Every success story is a reminder that positive change is possible. Cut to a series of news reports showing more countries enacting strict wildlife protection laws and enforcing them with greater urgency. Narrator, voiceover. As governments around the world take stronger actions, the message is clear. Wildlife protection is no longer just an afterthought, it's a priority. Authorities are committing to ending illegal wildlife trade, strengthening anti-poaching measures, and pushing for more sustainable practices in industries that impact the environment. Cut to a close-up of a mother and daughter planting trees in a reforestation project, with the daughter smiling and looking at a poster in the background reading, "Protect the planet, protect wildlife." Narrator, voiceover. The movement has inspired individuals of all ages. From planting trees to supporting wildlife sanctuaries, people everywhere are discovering the power of their actions in preserving the natural world. This is not just about animals. It's about the future of our planet. Scene transitions to a large, peaceful wildlife sanctuary, where animals roam freely and visitors observe from a distance. The camera zooms in on a family watching a family of hippos resting by a riverbank, calm and content. Narrator, voiceover. Years after the hippopotamus's tragic death, its legacy lives on in a world that is beginning to embrace the idea of coexistence. People, animals, and nature are working together toward a brighter future where the beauty of wildlife is cherished and protected. Cut to a wide shot of the sanctuary with animals peacefully grazing as the camera pulls back to show a sunset over the horizon, symbolizing hope. Narrator, voiceover. This journey has proven that every voice, no matter how small, can help shift the course of history. When we stand together, fighting for the protection of wildlife. We are ensuring a future not just for animals, but for all of us. Final scene. A mother and child look out at the sunset over a protected national park, the sounds of wildlife in the background. Narrator, voiceover. The story of the hippopotamus may have ended with tragedy, but it sparked a revolution of compassion and action. And as we continue to protect the Earth's most vulnerable, we remind ourselves of the incredible power we have to create a better, more sustainable world. Narrator, voiceover. As the global movement continues to grow, we're witnessing remarkable progress. From the establishment of new wildlife sanctuaries to the reduction of illegal wildlife trade, the world is showing that it's possible to make a real impact. But with every success, new challenges emerge. Cut to a wildlife expert discussing the complexities of managing protected areas and the impact of climate change on ecosystems. Wildlife expert. While we've made incredible strides in protecting wildlife, the world still faces a variety of environmental threats. Climate change, habitat loss, and human encroachment continue to put pressure on fragile ecosystems. The fight isn't over yet. If anything, it's evolving. Cut to footage of a group of scientists conducting research in the field, studying climate patterns and their effects on endangered species. Narrator, voiceover. Researchers are on the front lines, studying how climate change affects wildlife and looking for innovative solutions. Adaptation and resilience are now at the forefront of conservation strategies, ensuring that ecosystems can endure the changes taking place around the globe. Cut to a conservationist showing a new technology being used to track and protect wildlife. A drone flies over a forest, providing real-time data to researchers. Conservationist, explaining the tech to a team. This new drone technology allows us to monitor endangered species in remote areas more efficiently. We can track animal movements, detect poaching activity, and better understand their habitat needs. Technology is a crucial tool in the fight for wildlife conservation. Cut to a scene where a group of local rangers is patrolling a protected area, and the camera focuses on a team member taking notes and spotting suspicious activity on a monitoring device. Narrator, voiceover. Technology, combined with boots-on-the-ground efforts, is enhancing enforcement capabilities. Rangers, often in collaboration with local communities, are using real-time data to combat poaching and illegal logging, ensuring that protected areas remain safe for wildlife. Scene shifts to a bustling, crowded port where customs officers are inspecting cargo shipments. A team of officers opens crates containing illegal wildlife goods and confiscates them. Narrator, voiceover. On the front lines of combating illegal wildlife trafficking, authorities are ramping up inspections at major ports and transit hubs. The battle is complex, but international cooperation is making it harder for traffickers to operate undetected. Cut to a customs officer holding up a confiscated wildlife artifact in front of the camera. Customs officer, to the camera. We've seen a steady increase in efforts to stop wildlife trafficking at every level, from local law enforcement to international task forces. These illegal activities harm both the animals and our ecosystems, and we're committed to stopping it. Scene transitions to a corporate office where a business leader is giving a presentation about the company's commitment to sustainability and wildlife-friendly practices. Business leader. As businesses, we have a responsibility to be part of the solution. Our company is adopting new standards to ensure that all our supply chains are sustainable and support wildlife conservation efforts. We're also partnering with conservation organizations to directly contribute to wildlife protection projects. Cut to a forest with signs indicating sustainable practices in place: sustainable logging, eco-friendly tourism, and responsible agriculture. Narrator, voiceover. Businesses, too, are stepping up. Many industries are now prioritizing sustainability, aligning their practices with conservation efforts to create a balance between economic development and environmental protection. Cut to an interview with a local farmer whose land has been transformed into a wildlife-friendly space. Local farmer. I used to think protecting wildlife was something for big organizations. But now I know it's something we all can do. I've planted more trees, stopped using harmful chemicals, and started working with local conservation groups to make sure the land I care for also helps protect the animals around us. Scene shifts to a global conference video call, where representatives from different countries and organizations are discussing progress and new goals for wildlife conservation. Narrator, voiceover. International collaboration remains a cornerstone of the movement. Leaders from across the world continue to share resources, knowledge, and strategies to build a unified approach to preserving wildlife. The summit may have ended, but the work continues. Cut to a clip of children participating in a global virtual event, where young people from multiple countries are discussing how they can contribute to the preservation of wildlife. Narrator, voiceover. One of the most inspiring developments has been the rise of young activists who are leading the charge for future generations. Through social media, school programs, and environmental campaigns, they are raising awareness and advocating for change in their communities and beyond. Cut to a scene where a group of young people are planting trees and creating wildlife corridors to help animals safely cross busy roads. Young activist, smiling as she works with others. We can make a real difference no matter our age. It's about taking action, raising our voices, and building a future where wildlife can thrive. The legacy of the hippopotamus is one of hope, and we're carrying that forward. Scene transitions to a sweeping aerial shot of a pristine, protected rainforest, with the sounds of birds and wildlife filling the air. Narrator, voiceover. Though the road to complete protection of wildlife is still long, the progress made thus far is a testament to what is possible when we come together. The story of the hippopotamus, one tragic event, has sparked an enduring movement that continues to inspire change around the world. Final scene. The camera pans across the wild, with herds of elephants, lions, and other wildlife living freely in their natural habitat. The sun sets behind them, symbolizing a new beginning. Narrator, voiceover. The hippopotamus may no longer roam the earth, but its legacy lives on in the movement it inspired. Together, we will continue to protect the animals who share our world, ensuring that future generations can witness the beauty of life in the wild. Narrator, voiceover. As the movement for wildlife protection expands, one thing has become clear. Local communities are the heart of this change. From the smallest village to the largest metropolis, people are coming together to protect the planet's biodiversity. They are stepping up, becoming the stewards of their environments, and leading by example. Cut to a community project in Africa where local leaders are working with farmers to create wildlife corridors, allowing animals to safely cross through agricultural land. Local leader, speaking with farmers. We all rely on the land, but so do the animals. By creating these wildlife corridors, we're protecting both our crops and the animals that roam this land. It's about finding harmony between human life and nature. Cut to a team of women in a remote village in South America, gathering to educate others on sustainable practices and the importance of protecting endangered species. Local woman, passionately speaking to the group. Together, we're teaching the next generation to respect wildlife, to live alongside it. These creatures are not just a part of the forest, they are the forest, and protecting them is the key to protecting our future. Cut to footage of a wildlife convoy transporting a group of endangered animals to a newly established wildlife reserve. Narrator, voiceover. Across the globe, innovative programs are being launched to rescue and reintroduce endangered species back into their natural habitats. With wildlife reserves expanding and the creation of safe migration routes, many species are being given a fighting chance at survival. Cut to a large wildlife reserve in Asia, where a group of elephants is seen returning to the wild, carefully monitored by conservationists. Conservationist, smiling as elephants walk freely. These elephants have been through so much poaching, habitat loss, and conflict with humans. Now they're home again. This is what conservation is all about, restoring dignity to wildlife and providing them with the space they need to thrive. Scene shifts to a vibrant, bustling urban center where a new public park is being inaugurated, designed with wildlife in mind. The park has native plants, open spaces for animals, and educational signs. Narrator, voiceover. Even in the heart of cities, conservation is thriving. Urban spaces are being reimagined to incorporate nature. Green parks, wildlife corridors, and urban planning and eco-friendly transportation systems are becoming the norm. Cities are transforming into ecosystems that not only support people, but also wildlife. Cut to a group of school children, each holding a plant, participating in a citywide initiative to green urban spaces. Young student, enthusiastically, we're planting trees, making our city a home for animals. It's so cool to know that we can help make the world better, even by doing small things like planting a tree or cleaning up our neighborhood. Scene shifts to a press conference where a group of global leaders is discussing the next phase of their International Wildlife Protection Plan. World leader, at the podium. Today, we take the next bold step in our fight for the survival of wildlife. Our new collaborative efforts will bring together technology, policy, and grassroots activism to address the biggest challenges facing our planet today. We have seen that when we unite, we achieve remarkable things. Cut to a group of scientists and wildlife experts working together, looking at data collected from drones, tracking devices, and camera traps, analyzing the health of ecosystems. Narrator, voiceover. Through cutting-edge technology, researchers are better equipped than ever to monitor wildlife populations, track migratory patterns, and protect endangered species in real time. Data from satellite imaging and drones has opened new doors for wildlife management, providing insights that were once unimaginable. Cut to a wildlife tracker using a GPS device in the field, following an animal's movements. Tracker, with a determined look, every day is a challenge. But with the data and technology we have now, we can stay one step ahead, protecting these creatures from poachers and ensuring their survival in the wild. Scene transitions to a virtual town hall meeting where global citizens are speaking directly to policymakers about what more needs to be done for wildlife conservation. Citizen on screen, speaking passionately. We've made incredible progress, but the work isn't over. We need stronger protections for endangered species and stricter penalties for wildlife crimes. The time for action is now. Together, we can make sure these animals have a future. Cut to an ecotourism initiative where tourists are visiting a protected sanctuary, with guides explaining sustainable practices and how their visits support conservation efforts. Tour guide, speaking to tourists. Ecotourism is not just about seeing wildlife, it's about supporting conservation efforts. When you visit protected areas, your money goes toward funding programs that help protect the habitats we're all here to appreciate. Scene transitions to a university where students are presenting research on wildlife conservation, with several innovative solutions to combat climate change and protect biodiversity. Narrator, voiceover. Education is playing a critical role in the future of conservation. Universities and research institutions are training the next generation of scientists, conservationists, and activists. With new ideas and strategies, they are tackling the environmental crises of today and ensuring the survival of wildlife for tomorrow. Cut to a rural community in a rainforest where people are working together to stop deforestation, planting trees to restore the land. Local activist, speaking with community members. Together, we are rebuilding what was lost. By restoring forests, we're not just saving trees, we're protecting the animals that call them home. This land is not just ours, it's for future generations and the wildlife that depends on it. Cut to a closing shot of the protected wilderness, with animals, lions, giraffes, birds, and more flourishing in their natural habitats, the landscape serene and thriving. Narrator, voiceover. The journey from tragedy to triumph has been long, but it's far from over. The fight for wildlife is ongoing, but the lessons learned from every challenge, every success, and every community dedicated to preserving life on Earth remind us of one simple truth. We are all in this together. Narrator, voiceover. As conservation efforts spread to all corners of the world, one area of focus that has gained incredible momentum is marine wildlife protection. Oceans, which cover more than 70% of our planet, are home to countless species, many of which have long been endangered by overfishing, pollution, and climate change. Cut to underwater footage of a coral reef teeming with life, fish swimming, turtles gliding through the water, and a family of dolphins leaping. Marine biologist, speaking with a team. We've seen a marked improvement in the health of marine ecosystems due to stronger protections and new conservation programs. Marine reserves are helping restore endangered species, from turtles to whales, and giving our oceans a fighting chance. Cut to a group of local fishermen being trained in sustainable fishing techniques and how to prevent bycatch. Local fishermen, holding a sustainable fishing net. We've been fishing these waters for generations. Now we're learning how to do it in a way that ensures the future of the fish, the sea, and our livelihoods. It's not just about what we catch today, but what we leave for tomorrow. Scene transitions to a group of activists organizing a beach cleanup, removing plastic waste, and educating the public on the impact of pollution on marine life. Narrator, voiceover. Marine conservation is not just about protecting species, it's about keeping our oceans clean. Across the world, coastal communities are stepping up to tackle the plastic pollution crisis that threatens marine life. From cleanup initiatives to sustainable waste management practices, every action counts. Cut to a bustling environmental festival, where businesses, nonprofits, and community members are coming together to showcase sustainable products, share knowledge, and discuss ways to reduce environmental impact. Narrator, voiceover. At the intersection of conservation and innovation, environmental festivals are thriving. These events bring together diverse groups, activists, businesses, and everyday people to share ideas, celebrate successes, and build momentum for change. Cut to a group of entrepreneurs showcasing eco-friendly products made from recycled materials, such as biodegradable packaging and sustainable fashion. Entrepreneur, displaying products to visitors. We're creating products that are not only good for the planet, but that also support wildlife protection efforts. Every purchase makes a difference, and together, we can create a circular economy that benefits both people and the planet. Scene transitions to a rural village where locals are working together to plant native trees as part of a massive reforestation project. Local activist, with a group of villagers. Reforestation isn't just about restoring the land, it's about giving wildlife the chance to return to their homes. It's about building a future where people and animals live side by side. Cut to a global wildlife watchtower, where a team of experts is monitoring satellite data, using advanced technology to track deforestation and its effects on wildlife. Narrator, voiceover. Through the use of satellite technology, we are now able to monitor deforestation in real time. This allows us to respond quickly to illegal logging activities, ensuring that protected forests remain intact and continue to provide a safe haven for wildlife. Cut to a classroom of young children learning about the importance of biodiversity, with colorful charts on the walls showing animals and plants. Narrator, voiceover. The next generation is becoming increasingly engaged in the fight for wildlife protection. Schools around the world are integrating environmental education into their curricula, empowering children to become passionate conservationists and environmental stewards. Cut to a young student speaking passionately in front of the class about protecting wildlife. Young student, confidently. I believe we all have the power to make a difference. It starts with small steps, learning about animals, protecting the environment, and sharing what we know with others. We are the ones who will protect the planet for the future. Scene transitions to a wide aerial view of a lush national park, a model for sustainable tourism where visitors enjoy the wilderness while respecting wildlife and the natural environment. Narrator, voiceover. Sustainable tourism has become a key player in the conservation movement. By visiting protected parks, travelers not only experience the beauty of wildlife firsthand, but their tourism dollars are directly contributing to the preservation of these habitats. Cut to a family of tourists observing wildlife from a distance, guided by a park ranger. Tourist to ranger, it's incredible to see animals in their natural habitat, knowing that our visit is helping protect these animals. I never realized how much impact responsible tourism could have. Scene transitions to an international online summit where activists and experts from around the world are sharing progress reports and discussing next steps in wildlife conservation. Narrator, voiceover. Global summits have become vital spaces for sharing knowledge and strategizing solutions to the world's most pressing environmental challenges. From wildlife conservation to tackling the climate crisis, leaders are coming together to ensure that every voice is heard in the fight to protect nature. Cut to a close-up of an older conservationist who has been working in the field for decades, speaking with a young activist. Conservationist to young activist, the world has changed a lot in my lifetime. When I started, people didn't understand how important wildlife was. But look at what you've helped accomplish. You've inspired so many, and the future is looking brighter for our planet. Cut to a sweeping shot of the Earth from space, showing the interconnectedness of all ecosystems, oceans, forests, savannas, and mountains, all part of the same planet. The camera zooms in to show a thriving wildlife population in various habitats. Narrator, voiceover. Wildlife conservation is no longer a distant dream. It is a reality. From the deep oceans to the tallest mountains, ecosystems are flourishing, and the planet is healing. This is a testament to the power of collective action, where communities, governments, scientists, and individuals have come together to protect the incredible diversity of life on Earth. Final scene, a family of hippos lounging by a river, their eyes content and peaceful. The sun sets behind them, painting the sky with golden hues. Narrator, voiceover. The hippopotamus's legacy continues to inspire the global community to protect all species, big and small. Together, we've proven that when we stand united, we can preserve the rich biodiversity of our world for generations to come. Narrator, voiceover. Through years of tireless work, some of the world's most endangered species have made a stunning comeback. Efforts like captive breeding programs, habitat restoration, and the creation of sanctuary spaces have revived populations once on the verge of disappearing. Cut to a team of conservationists in the Amazon rainforest, carefully planting native trees and monitoring soil health to rebuild the habitat of a variety of threatened species. Conservationists, as they work with their team, the Amazon is the lungs of our planet, and protecting it means protecting countless species. We're not just planting trees, we're creating a future where animals can once again roam freely, and the forest thrives for generations to come. Scene transitions to a bustling urban center where a green-roofed skyscraper is unveiled. The rooftop garden is a sanctuary for birds and insects, with green spaces connecting to wildlife corridors throughout the city. Narrator, voiceover. As cities grow, so does the need for more sustainable urban environments. Innovations like green-roofed buildings, vertical gardens, and wildlife corridors are helping restore balance within our concrete jungles, creating safe havens for animals and connecting fragmented ecosystems. Cut to a drone shot of an urban landscape with parks, gardens, and green rooftops visible, followed by a family walking through a park, observing local wildlife. Urban planner, speaking to a group of visitors. We've reimagined what a city can be, places where people and wildlife can coexist. It's not about removing nature from the city, but about bringing it back in ways that are sustainable and supportive of both humans and animals. Scene transitions to a rural area where farmers are using eco-friendly practices to grow crops alongside wildlife sanctuaries. The camera zooms in to show wildlife like deer and birds sharing the space with crops. Local farmer, smiling as he works. By using organic farming methods and supporting local wildlife, we're creating a harmonious balance between agriculture and nature. The land we work is just as important for the animals as it is for us. And when both thrive, it benefits everyone. Cut to a scene of a large community meeting where environmental leaders are discussing how to integrate wildlife-friendly practices into policy and industry. Environmental leader, addressing the group. The future of conservation lies not only in individual actions, but in policy and industry changes. Governments are beginning to recognize the crucial need for environmental legislation that supports wildlife conservation, from stricter anti-poaching laws to incentives for green businesses. Scene transitions to a global partnership agreement being signed at an international summit, where representatives from different countries come together to establish new wildlife protection initiatives. Narrator, voiceover. International cooperation is pivotal. As nations work together to establish comprehensive global agreements, from reducing carbon emissions to protecting biodiversity hotspots, they are sending a clear message. The health of our planet and its wildlife is a shared responsibility. Cut to a group of researchers working in a lab, studying the DNA of endangered species to better understand how to protect them. Scientist analyzing samples. Genetic research is opening new doors in wildlife conservation. By understanding the DNA of endangered species, we can create more effective breeding programs and ensure that genetic diversity is preserved, helping populations adapt and thrive. Scene shifts to a wildlife rehabilitation center where injured animals, including elephants and lions, are being cared for before being released back into the wild. Narrator, voiceover. Wildlife rescue and rehabilitation efforts have also made great strides. Animals that have been injured or displaced by human activities are now given the care they need to recover and return to their natural habitats, a testament to the resilience of both animals and those who care for them. Cut to a heartwarming moment of a young lion cub being released back into a reserve, running towards its family members. Wildlife veterinarian, smiling as the cub runs into the wild. Every release is a victory, not just for the species, but for us all. We've been entrusted with these animals' futures, and today, we've given them back the freedom they deserve. Scene transitions to a diverse group of young activists at a global climate march, holding signs that call for action on behalf of wildlife and climate change. Narrator, voiceover. Today, the fight for wildlife is in the hands of passionate young people. Across the world, they are standing up for the protection of biodiversity, demanding stronger policies to address climate change, and ensuring that the voices of future generations are heard in the halls of power. Cut to a young activist speaking at a rally, urging world leaders to take more immediate action to protect endangered species. Young activist, with a microphone, speaking passionately. Our generation is calling on you to act. We will not stand by as our world's biodiversity fades away. The time to protect our planet and its wildlife is now. This is our fight, and we are ready to lead the way. Scene transitions to a final shot of a vast landscape filled with thriving wildlife, a healthy ecosystem in perfect balance, with animals peacefully coexisting. Narrator, voiceover. The road ahead may still be long, but the collective efforts we've made have already begun to heal the world. From the rainforests to the savannas, from city parks to rural farmlands, every step forward brings us closer to a future where humans and wildlife coexist in harmony.